The Beaches of America, a history that dates back to the 1800s when America's first beach opened to the public in the town of Revere, Massachusetts, and tourism forever changed across the country. American beaches experience twice the amount of tourism than all of the state and national parks combined. As the sun rises along the East Coast, the beach crowds fill the shores of Delaware, preparing to see the beautiful first light of summer. Pets join their owners, starting the day with a morning walk, experiencing the peaceful sounds of the waves as the clouds make path for the sun. The beach is a free space for our furry friends, where they can roam around and feel liberated while engaging in social activities. And the waves bring that fascinating element to mornings, where it becomes the perfect time to surf, as the lighter air provides an excellent water swap. The beaches of Delaware are a one-of-a-kind experience, making the first state a leader in summer tourism, where the waters across its beaches often rank in first place when measuring water quality against the 50 states. Its tourism generates more than $5 billion in annual revenue. Delaware contains 28 miles of coastline, where the state sits on a geographical hotspot, positioned to where the sea levels rise faster and higher than anywhere else in America, due to a combination of rising seas and sinking lands, a storied novel of America's beaches, presenting a history of natural beauty.
At the southernmost point of the state of Delaware is the beach region. Beaches that become some of the most popular on the East Coast. Beaches that give that unique experience to the first state and create their own spin on the great American summer. I'm Jose, and I'm traveling across Delaware's beaches, exploring the beautiful resort towns of the Delaware Bay and the Atlantic Ocean. On this tour, we'll drive along the coastal highway and go from beach to experience why these towns have become the nation's summer capital. From Dewey Beach to Bethany, Fenwick Island, and Rehoboth Beach, we'll get a piece of the best of each resort town.
The road trip to Delaware's beaches begins at the Delaware Seashore State Park, a park that sits between the Indian River Inlet and Rehoboth Beach. The beauty of the coastline is visible from above, as the eastern shores seem endless. This piece of Delaware was a challenging connecting point between the northern and southern beaches, as the natural elements kept bringing changes between the inland bay and the Atlantic Ocean. But those natural challenges were corrected, helping create a popular midway point to the Delaware beaches. The morning walkers descend upon the beach. The breeze gives strong energy to the waves, pushing my curious spirit to study its force when crashing into the inlet. And boats are heard nearby, as the early morning brings plenty of fishermen to the seashore. let's open the pages to our travel log and make a stop at Dewey Beach.
Dewey Beach is one of the smaller beaches in Delaware, but becomes one of the most popular, due in part to its nightlife. It contains only 300 residents, but explodes during summer months.
Welcome to the beach town, named after a national hero who battled in the Spanish-American War, Admiral George Dewey, the only ranking admiral in the history of America's Navy, honored by Dewey Beach. The marina at Dewey Beach is alive and active, with plenty of boats docked by its sandy shores, and the visitors gather for early drinks around some of the popular pubs in the resort town. The beach town is only 1.5 miles long and was first discovered as Rehoboth Beach in the 1800s, but eventually became Dewey after the Spanish-American War, where I walk along the small boardwalk, just enjoying the calmness of the early morning in this active beach town. The busy traffic of the coastal highway brings us to some of Dewey's fascinating restaurants, a perfect area for a morning wake-up.
First, let's start the day with coffee. I've been to beaches all over the states and internationally, but what makes America's beaches different is that resort town environment. It's part of the fabric of America's identity, that pop culture allure. America has iconic boardwalks, and the very first boardwalk debuted in New Jersey, in the beach town of Atlantic City. It's mostly known for its nightlife and gambling, but there was a time when the boardwalk wasn't a thing. The casino owners complained about sand being dragged into the lobbies. Atlantic City's boardwalk was the first in the world, and it's also the longest. Across the United States, the boardwalk brings that enjoyment to create those summertime memories.
The beautiful resort town of Bethany Beach, what locals call the Quiet Beach. Bethany Beach is divided into Bethany and South Bethany, where the former becomes the resort town and the latter the residential area. And its popularity has expanded in the last couple of years, where it saw a 35% population growth between 2019 and 2020. As we walk along the vibrant shops, the toys on display remind me of my childhood and visiting all the great beaches in my surrounding areas. From the Rockaways in Queens to Coney Island in Brooklyn and Asbury Park in New Jersey, the memories made in beach resorts are ones that last a lifetime. Let's follow the beachgoers as they walk the streets towards the boardwalk, and along the way, encounter local favorites, restaurants and snack shops, where plenty of seafood can be found throughout the resort. Or ice cream shops. No food is more iconic to American summer than ice cream, where the month of July is hailed as the National Ice Cream Month. America is the second largest consumer of ice cream in the world, slightly trailing the ice cream lovers of New Zealand. Bethany Beach sits on the ancestral lands of the Nanacoke Native Americans, where its modern connection to Delaware began on July 1st, 1901, giving a place to relax for all these visitors who come to the resort town. And the beautiful sounds of gears go hand in hand with the resort as bicycles and motorcycles head up and down the main street, where you're bound to bump into a classical vehicle.
The Volkswagen van is one of my favorite vehicles. It has the iconic summer beach feel, that iconic look from the 60s. I love it.
The history of the resort town jumps through the pages of early America, where William Penn, the father of Delaware and Pennsylvania, engaged in a land dispute with George Calvert, who established Maryland. Penn, being the largest landowner during his era, fought to keep Bethany and Fenwick as part of Delaware, which they came to an agreement on July 4, 1760, creating a boundary line with the nearby Ocean City, Maryland. In Penn's case, we're happy that Bethany became its own resort town, providing another beach town option within the Delaware and Maryland coastal regions, giving its tourists a family experience when comparing the nightlife of the surrounding beach towns in America's first state.
Bethany Beach has the most unique story from the beach towns. It wasn't meant to be a beach resort. It was originally established as a Christian church site founded by the Disciples of Christ, members that stem from Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C.
From end to end, the beach umbrellas cover every inch of the shore, with orange and blue creating a plethora of umbrellas that block the intense rays of the sun. Noon brings the strongest rays with 94-degree weather, feeling like the peak of summer. The beach is at capacity, with visitors looking for the best way to cool off. And we walk through the umbrellas just to get a peek of how busy the quiet resort gets when the heat wave of summer blankets the residents and tourists. Bethany Beach adheres to several rules to give visitors the absolute best experience in the resort, helping minimize unwanted inconveniences and distractions. Bethany's lifeguards contain over 30 members who call themselves the Bethany Beach Patrol, observing beach activities on a daily basis. And the crystal clear waters are calling out my name. The heat makes me cave to the temptation as I head to the edge of the beach, ready to dip my toes in the cool waves of the Atlantic Ocean. During the summer months, Bethany Beach receives more than 15,000 visitors to its resort town, where the climate is known to be a humid, subtropical experience that further pushes the traveler to bask in these beautiful blue waters. And on a day like today, it's definitely busy, becoming that postcard photo of American beach life, as the waves take over the coastline, adding the sounds of excitement from the beachgoers. And I stumbled while being pushed by the wave, trying to hold on from its tremendous force. Bethany offers left and right-hand waves, where the winds of the southwest provide wind swells and ground swells coming from the northeast. A surfer's delight where the most optimal surfing season is during the month of August. The beautiful sands of Bethany contain a rare sight with the sand dune that nears the boardwalk, a 16-foot sand dune to protect the beach, which was built on top of a natural dune field similar to the fascinating dunes at Cape Henlopen, Penn. And this time around, I take the waves head on, ready to be fully engulfed by the waters of the Atlantic. Bethany is a beach that becomes part of tradition, where generations have made this their family's beach town.
So all the beaches in Delaware are on one road, on the coastal highway.
If you take that highway all the way down, you're gonna go into Maryland, into Ocean City.
The beaches of Delaware are so close in proximity, but that doesn't stop them from creating their own character, their own identity, and just giving you a reason to visit. You just fall in love with their personality. Cape May, New Jersey is a great example. It has that Victorian appeal. And not too far down the road are the Wildwoods, which model their resort town after that 1950s doo-wop era. You travel to places like New York City, and among the high-rises, you come across the iconic Coney Island at the very edges of Brooklyn, which it creates its own story, like being the birthplace of Nathan's hot dogs. And I think that's the case with the majority of America. Whether you travel to Hollywood and find yourself surrounded by the palm trees of Venice Beach, or the colorful 80s-inspired decor of Miami Beach, it's another experience to the pages of America's tourism.
At the border of Delaware is the southernmost beach, sitting on a narrow peninsula adjacent to the lively beach at Ocean City, Maryland. Fenwick Island has a unique history within Delaware, where legends speak of pirates burying treasure by the Little Assawoman Bay. And the voices of excited beachgoers can be heard from the distant entrance to Fenwick, where the mid-afternoon crowds have settled, and the beach is more calm during this transition time. Fenwick was incorporated in 1953 as the residents of Delaware fought back the rising prices of the more commercial Ocean City, Maryland. This beach was once a marshy terrain that connected to mainland Delaware, which Native Americans would have to hike to explore its beauty. Fenwick Island looks similar to Cape Henlopen Pen, with high wooded grounds at the border of Maryland and the slight bulge of Delaware, making it a difficult beach to reach. And I observed my surroundings, just like the travelers of yesteryear, ship captains filled with curiosity of its geography. They were warned of risky shallows that lurked below the water. As early as the 1800s, the state began tuning the geography of the beach, propelling its tourism with the addition of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in 1952.
I think once it's said and done and you take at least one beach trip, it builds so many memories that carry on throughout the summer, and I absolutely recommend it to anyone who's a tourist. On the West Coast, you have amazing beaches like Cannon Beach in Oregon or Waikiki in Hawaii. If you prefer to venture down south, you'll come across the fascinating Virginia Beach. On the East Coast, you can find yourself back in New York at the very tip of Long Island, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean and the beautiful lighthouse at Montauk. Or you can come right back to Delaware and experience one of the most popular beaches on the East Coast, Rehoboth Beach.
Welcome to the nation's summer capital, the getaway for beachgoers from neighboring cities like Philadelphia. Rehoboth Beach has become one of the most famous beaches along the East Coast, where travelers from all over maintain summer homes in the resort town, including the United States President. And within its entrance, we find a replica of the famed Cape Henlopen Pen Lighthouse, where the Swannondale Museum in Lewis, Delaware, contains the full history of the many lighthouses along the beach region.
This is Rehoboth Beach, the largest beach resort in the state of Delaware. It was once the go-to destination for the residents of Washington, D.C. During the time of William Penn, the founder of Delaware and Pennsylvania. His cabinet inhabited this area and turned it into farmland.
And through its alleys, we come across the busy crowds waiting for their turns to order from these amazing restaurants. Rehoboth Beach is a resort town that also contains a marina filled with private boats and jet skis, with easy access to the Indian River inlet. This gives all types of summer travelers a reason to visit Rehoboth, including the migration of dolphins and whales between the months of July through October. The boats begin their departure to travel along the Atlantic or head further north and enter the Delaware Bay by the neighboring Lewis Beach. Rehoboth sits between Lewis to the north and Dewey to the south, with Cape Henlopen State Park directly north to the resort town. The beauty experienced from above the beach shows just how popular of a resort town Rehoboth becomes during the summer, welcoming more than 25,000 visitors during the peak of the season. The center of town actively brings the tourists to a summer wonderland, where trolleys descend upon the streets, presenting a scenic form of transportation, and motorbikes take over the roads. With their fun colors and perfect form factor, they become iconic vehicles of the beach experience. The shops come alive with visitors as I sneak between the quieter alleys of Rehoboth. Delaware is a popular shopping state that doesn't have any state tax, so nearby residents of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. take advantage when visiting all the amazing retail fronts. And there's plenty to explore within the area, with a combination of Rehoboth and Dewey crown them as a culinary capital, containing more than 100 places to grab a bite to eat. The beautiful umbrellas found in the second-floor terrace become a staple to Delaware's beaches, as the quaint little town presents a unique charm that brings vacationers back year over year, with the AARP naming Rehoboth Beach one of the dream towns to retire, and Reader's Digest calling it the best of America. And I continue exploring through its alleys, filled with cafes and unique local shops, selling trendy ornaments that become mementos of summer. Memories that grow fonder as you age, where your favorite song becomes the theme of the season and always brings back that fuzzy feeling of your summer escape. And once again, within its parking lot, I stumble upon my favorite summer vehicle, the Volkswagen van. Rehoboth Beach was founded in 1873 as the Rehoboth Beach Camp Meeting Association, being renamed to simply Rehoboth Beach in 1893, sometimes being called one of the best family beaches in the Atlantic, even bringing themes of our British neighbors from across the pond and their love for fish and chips. The area pays homage to rock and roll pioneers, the Beatles, with Penny Lane Mall, an area that comes right out of the pages of a travel magazine. With all the beauty the town has to offer, the trip to its beach makes it even more exciting. This is the beach at Rehoboth. As the afternoon grows closer to evening and the waters become cooler, the high tides take place by its shores. And the summer heat doesn't stop the crowd from packing the beach to the brim. I throw on my bathing suit and head straight to the waters to get a final swim in this giant excursion. The beaches of Delaware have been such a delight to experience, and the smile on my face says it all on how I spend my adventure. Many centuries ago, this portion of the beach was further out. Sea levels were lower throughout the Atlantic coast, extending roughly 30 miles from its current position, so I could only envision how much more exciting it must have been to visit the beach. And all these beachgoers standing further out along the 1.5 miles of Rehoboth beachfront, where the waves and sand connect in a harmonious fashion. And the visitors build upon the melodies to construct the tune of the season. In the late 1800s, the Junction and Breakwater Railroad constructed a line that traveled from Lewis to Rehoboth Beach, opening the gates to visitors from northern Delaware and Pennsylvania to experience this magnificent escape. This is what led to the explosive boom of Rehoboth Beach's tourism. And along the beach, you still find remains from its storied history, leaving the trails of the past as it becomes Delaware's modern destination, finding an endless array of umbrellas crammed across the beach in this beautiful scenic stretch that travels directly to the other beaches of Delaware. So what can we say about this experience? It comes to define the American beach life, a fantastic image plastered in magazines and postcards, which can tell the same story throughout many generations, sharing the endless narratives to visitors, who only get a glimpse of these stories through film and television. The beaches of Delaware and the tribute to summer. How can we explore Rehoboth without touring its dynamic boardwalk, where the noise from arcades, restaurants, and hungry travelers reverberate across the winds? And I make my way from coin-operated machines to the planks on the boardwalk, looking in every direction to find my next stop. The boardwalk contains some of my favorite foods, from funnel cakes to ice cream, milkshakes, and gyros. So the boardwalk is my favorite part of all the beaches that we visit. It's what truly makes that beach town experience. The boardwalk was first constructed in 1873 and has served as one of the premier places for Rehoboth's entertainment, like the Sea Witch Halloween Festival, which brings more than 200,000 attendees to the resort, or the arcade shops that still have prices from the 1950s, making it more accessible to enjoy these relics of the past. As I stroll along the boardwalk, you can see the attire shift from swimming to casual, as the afternoon slowly changes the environment to experience the cuisine along the beachfront. And no boardwalk is complete without its amusement park, where the crowds huddle for the fun rides and games that serve as family entertainment. classical merry-go-round to other memorable rides, you'll find it all on the Rehoboth Boardwalk. Quoting travel magazines, it's a must-do when visiting the resort. So we find ourselves back where we started, at the shores of Dewey Beach, as the evening slowly comes to a close and the crowds disappear, as the beach welcomes sunset. As I reflect on my experience, I can say that it's created a lasting impression, a memorable trip etched in my fondest memories of visiting the beach. Delaware has been a one-of-a-kind experience, the first state post-Revolutionary War, which becomes the second smallest in the Union, but contains so much to explore. And in these closing moments, as the sun slowly descends into the horizon, I touch the cool water and look back at all the fantastic places I visited, simply imagining how sunset will look across the amazing towns of Delaware. In towns like Lewis, or its major city of Wilmington, the feeling is simply breathtaking.
America's first state is such a fascinating experience, and the beach towns further enhances the riveting history. They present another story to the European connection, while laying their own path as iconic American beach towns. Lewis opened a path to the Dutch settlers, giving them a glimpse of the treasures they hid in the New World. And the beach region reflects some of the amazing geography we've come to experience during our tour of the state. From the natural reserves of Dover to the marshlands of Delaware City, Newcastle's important connection to the Delaware River, Bowers Beach, and the horseshoe crabs that line up its shores, to the development of Wilmington's industries from its powerful surrounding rivers. Delaware contains an amazing experience to earn its proud title of First State. I'm Jose, and I thank you for joining me on this grand tour of the state of Delaware. Until next time.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome, man.